It's one at a time in this international team championship. So Trudy McIntosh of Australia and everybody else here in Richmond watched Kristen Maloney just climb the beam and put up a score of 9.65.
She just recently won the all-around championships for Australia. Very nice ball. Handspring laid out front.
There's her personal coach, Mark Colton. She's a teammate of Melinda Cleland's.
Good job, Trudy.
But, you know, once again, I'm not a fan of where they put their hands here. A little bit too low, just a little dangerous. Not as bad as we've seen from some of the other athletes. Beautiful laid out position in the air. However, very nice ball.
Go now. Good landing.
First vault score of 9.375.
Again, that first vault was the start value of 9.8. She's planning to do a little bit more difficult vault here. The start value of 9.9.
Whoa. And you don't see that all that often.
Not very often.
Now, she really, believe it or not, she's not going to get penalized for this at this point.
You'd be ready to go. Trudy, you got 30 seconds.
Peggy trying to steal our job, telling the people at home that she has 30 seconds to collect her thoughts and just run on down there and do the vault she was supposed to do a few seconds ago.
Yeah, present again.
It's all part of the experience. And she adds a half twist.
She'll take that, no question. Got to tell you, so impressed with this Australian team so far. The main goal, Peggy Liddick says that these girls have been fast-tracked. They need to place in the top 12 in the team competition at the World Championships to qualify as a team to the Olympic Games in Sydney. Very important for them.
Jennie Thompson of the United States is going to be next. Meanwhile, Beth Ruyak is down on the floor.
Al, Trudy McIntosh just told her coach, Peggy Liddick, that she stopped because her steps were off. She's got a mark halfway down the runway. She noticed where she was and decided to start again. And her coach told her it was a pretty smart decision for a 14-year-old in this meet.
Now it's Jennie Thompson. Trudy McIntosh's average a 9.462.
I think you'll see a new confidence level from this young lady since her recent win at the American Cup. She said her first practice, she always determines how things will go for her from her first practice.
And watch right here, though. Big. Full twist.
Coach Mary Lee Tracy is wearing a microphone.
You know, the constant escalation of elements in gymnastics is truly amazing.
Leg up. Shoulders to the top. Up. Really good. And hold. Press it. Up. Knees up. Knees up. Stay in the moment. See it.
Just the dismount.
Come on, Jennie. See it. Good. Yes!
And you can tell all the little points that Mary Lee and Jennie have reinforced in practice. Simona Amanar.
mentioned that she could be a little bit more artistic on the floor, no question about it. But one thing that I like to see, at least she flips twice in her routine. You know, some of the athletes, we don't even see them doing any double somersaults. I like to see that. That's great.
Her teammates call her Simi, and Simi does well. A huge 9.8 on the floor. And so the International Team Championship moved through its final rotation. For the United States, that means they move to a strength floor exercise. They still trail the leading Romanians by more than a point. Australia to the unevens, China to the balance beam in a moment. Here in Richmond, not making excuses, simply stating fact. The United States team is not the best representative team. Right now, without Vanessa Adler, you could argue that she could maybe put an extra point for the United States and make this a down-to-the-wire affair here in Richmond, Virginia. The Romanians with the lead of more than a point. Andreea Isarescu has been solid and brilliant. 9-6-7-5, 9-6-0. Here's her first vault.
And this is a strong event for Romania. Start value of a 9.8.
Vault actually popularized by a U.S. gymnast, J.C. Phelps. Really should keep her body a little bit straighter in the air. You notice the bend of the hips and actually grabs her legs a little bit.
A place where the judges could take a slight deduction right there.
That's what you call, you open up the door, and if they choose to grab it, they could get a couple of tenths from you, no question about it. Now that was better. Little better body position, definitely better landing.
Now it's Zeena McLaughlin.
She was the 98 national all-around champion in Australia. She's also one of the members from the Victorian Institute of Sport in Melbourne.
You know, national coach Peggy Liddick said she could never imagine this team being this far along so soon. Critical for them, as we mentioned, to place in the top 12 at the world. And this is bad right here. Of course, 0.5 of a point when you fall off the apparatus. And she had some form breaks on top of it. They have been so good, so consistent.
Can you get any of that back if you repeat?
Well, you can get it back, but she's got deduction. She's got at least 0.7 deducted already. But, you know, for folks at home, it is not a given that the Australians, just because the Olympic Games are in their host country, that they will be in them. They must be, like I said, in the top 12 in China at the World Championships in 1999. So far, they look very good.
Get you into the top 12. This team is going to have to fight with everything they have.
You know, they were going along pretty good here today, pretty consistent, and now suddenly on the uneven bars, this major duo of breaks. Andreea Isarescu, just more good news for the Romanians. Her vault average is 9.50.
That hurts.
Yeah, an 8.00 really does. Now by Chunyue of China. Hey, China's really fallen apart a little bit since she had the vault that we saw a few minutes ago.
China could actually see a very big score from this young lady. Check out this mount. It's called a head spring. Actually doesn't have a very high value. Looks good. She has an unbelievable tumbling pass that's coming up right at the end of this beam. She actually does some amazing acrobatic skills and has an incredible height on the last element. Be interesting to see if she adds the full twist. She did warm it up.
Yep.
Watch this. She looks like she's on the floor. No full.
Hey guys, you know, I think if you take a gymnast like this, if she's still the same size and you put her on the worldwide camera of the Olympic Games, you're talking about someone the world will embrace, don't you think?
Yeah, no question about it. She really is one of those contenders. But we need to reinforce that this is not the team that we'll see at either the World Championships or the Olympic Games. And, you know, it's a little funny because most of the gymnastics powers around the world are so concerned with reputation. They never want to leave their home territory and not show their absolute best. The Chinese historically really haven't ever been as concerned about that as other countries.
But this is one athlete that they should consider. She's only been on the national team for 1 year, but she's a huge talent.
All 3 feet 8 inches of Bai Chunyue.
I think this is probably the first time you've ever commentated an athlete smaller than 4 feet, I'd say, Al.
We're breaking new ground.
She was aggressive in this exercise. I love this tumbling pass. It looks like she's on the floor. Remember, that balance beam is only 4 inches wide. Look at the height of the layout. And believe it or not, she can actually do that move with a full twist.
The United States on floor exercise next.